Hello, Kansas and Western fans. Quick updates today regarding the poll results for this past weekend. We've got a total of 14 votes, and it's pretty close between several. It looks like the Royal Gorge Route is won with 4 votes, but El Dorado Refinery, Track Weathering and Ballast was close behind. So it's interesting to see how the vote changes over time. And this is one of the reasons why I enjoy doing this, because I like seeing the input from my viewers and seeing how your interests change over time and what you want to see worked on. So let's do a review of the Royal Gorge Route real quick and what I plan to do. This part of the layout has probably made me more nervous than even the refinery to work on, because I don't have a lot of experience working on scenery, but I have watched hours and hours and hours of videos. So I've developed a plan, and I'm going to go over that real quick. First of all, before I can work on scenery, there's some minor things I have to finish up first. You can see that vertical line in the wall. That's where the masonite stops. So I need to finish installing the masonite along the wall back there for the backdrop, just to create a smooth transition. And that's going to wrap around this corner here, more or less following the curvature of the track, to block off the visibility of the helix entry there. And then that tunnel portal will be put in to kind of blend that in, so there'll be a mountain will take shape on that end. And then you can see the track gaps where the ties had to be cut. I've got to fill those. I need to put some switch stand ties in for the turnouts, but there's only 2, so a lot of this is going to go pretty quick. I don't have many gaps to fill with ties, so I'll get those added. And then I'll do a base coat for the track, because I usually do a big spray can to do the whole track, to catch the rail webbing and the ties, just to get rid of the gloss of the ties, to cover the insides of the rails. And then I'll go back and weather that later. But since I use that big spray can, if I start adding a bunch of foam in the way, it might be difficult to get the proper angles. So that's got to get done first. And then these foam risers, I've seen a trick where people are using expanding foam to fill those gaps so the ballast doesn't fall between. So I'll have to add that. And then I have to start deciding on the base structure, which I think I'm going to use foam. I think that's something that I can manage. I put a post last night of a video I found on how to do that, because what I need to do is this whole scene is going to look similar to this, where in the background of the tracks you have pretty steep rise of mountainous terrain. In the foreground, you've got the close distance between the tracks and the river embankment down to the river. And you can see we're talking maybe 15-foot rise and maybe 25-foot distance between the tracks and the river for the most part. And then between the river and the aisle, I'm going to have some variable terrain between more sharp increases in mountainous terrain, maybe represent Highway 50 in places. I'm not sure. I haven't plan that part out. I'm going to start just laying out foam and see what I like. But I do plan on adding a bridge, and that was the intent of tacking this down here, because I still have to build a bridge and see how that's going to fit. And then I've got to obviously trim a lot of this foam that's between the tracks and the plywood, because I'm going to have the river follow the tracks. Fill in that corner there because it's a little bit too close. I got a little bit lazy on cutting that corner there. But all of this scene is going to start roughly in this area, where the river is going to appear about where the bare plywood is, and start following the curvature of the track. So that's what I'm going to be working on these next couple weeks. I have no idea how much of this I'm going to get done, because again, I've never gotten to this point on any layout to where I really start to focus on scenery. So as much as I am nervous about this, I appreciate the fact that it's won the vote for this two-week period, because it's also exciting to me, because I really want to reproduce this scene, because it's very iconic for Colorado. And we visited this area so many times when I was a kid, and it's just something that I really look forward to reproducing as faithfully as I can manage with my limited skill set. But it will get better over time as I try things. And since this is a big space, I can do it a little bit at a time and try out one thing at one end, try out another thing at another end, and see how it works out. But Thanks everybody who voted. Thanks for your feedback and input. And also I wanted to add, as this area progresses, I would very much appreciate any feedback as to suggestions, ideas, so on and so forth. Because again, never done this before. You can't hurt my feelings. And I want it to look as good as possible. So if you have anything to add, please feel free to drop it in the comments. So we'll see what I can get done over the next couple of weeks. Thanks for your input, and have a good week.